So in this video, I want to sort of give some tips and tricks. It's not really tips and tricks, it's just a bunch of information and resources on how to get better, whether it's, my personal controller settings or assists or whatever. I'm not going to claim to be a crazy good player. I don't use wheel mode, all that shit. But I feel like I drive rather well. And I sort of just want to show people what you need, what you should have as a either new player or an old player or just someone that wants to learn more. Whatever it is, I'm hoping I can sort of help here. We'll see what happens, eh? So there are 4 main points that I want to talk about. One of them is controller settings, how you set up the controller or how you set up your steering wheel. Steering wheel I'm not going to get into because I don't use a steering wheel in this game. But controller settings can have a great impact on how the game feels and how every vehicle feels regardless of pro settings, right? The next thing I want to talk about is pro settings. Pro settings can have a great effect on certain vehicles. And there are certain YouTubers I would recommend based on your driving style. If your driving style is more aggressive or whatever, we'll see what happens. And then assists. Assists are a big one that I myself have different assists from other people, and that's just how the game feels good to me. I don't think you should feel different for using different assists. It's just how it is, If what you need to feel good in this game is traction control comfort with ABS off, that's what you need to do. That's just how it is. And then the final one is recommended vehicles. So some vehicles will be sort of harder for new players or players that want to get better. If you want a more difficult car that, that helps you learn like throttle control, there are some that could do that. If you just want to sort of learn how to, take corners better and, learn the racing line more, there's cars for that as well. So that's sort of the main points we're going to go over, and let's talk about it, huh? Okay, so I'm going to play this a little bit by ear. I'm going to do this as I go. But controller settings are sort of mostly self-explanatory, right? So we'll go into the controller settings here. Alright, so, you got automatic, yada yada yada. Most of this shit doesn't matter. I turn off adaptive triggers because I'm using a PS5 controller and I don't like it for this game. That's personal preference. It's whatever. Alright. So with steering, the most I've seen is dead zone is usually a 0. You don't really want to have a big dead zone unless you got stick drift on your controller. So you don't worry about having dead zone. My understanding of linearity is based on my understanding of linearity in F1, which is it will sort of smooth out the curve instead of going straight left and right. Here, I'll show you. Yeah, let me turn off linearity. Alright, so we're at 0%. And I do this. See how it's sort of instantly changing direction? That would be good, but it just means that there's a higher chance that you'll probably spin out, or you'll be applying too much steering too much, like at the wrong time, right? So if we go back, set not the dead zone, set the linearity back to 50%, then it will sort of see how it's a bit slower and it's a bit more linear, It's not like it's like you're just pressing left and right on a keyboard. There's a bit more, let's say, slowness to it. So linearity was amazing in F1 to smooth out any flaws that you had in your steering. I'm pretty sure it does the same thing here, where you can still steer pretty fast, but it's a bit smoother. And will kind of smooth out a lot of those flaws, right? That's sort of my understanding of it, right? So 50 is good. You could probably go a little bit less. Probably want to around, 50. 50 is a good start. I'm just gonna keep it at 50. Linearity on throttle also very good because it means it'll, for people that use traction control off, or people that use sport traction control, basically anything but what I'm using, it just, again, is just a smoothness thing. So when you jam the throttle, it doesn't go straight to 100%, it kind of builds up to it a little bit more gradually, right? You can lower it, it'll probably give you a bit better throttle response, but you'll have a higher chance of maybe getting wheel spin, right? That's just how that works. Linearity on braking, sort of the same deal, but you want it a little bit lower. Probably because braking won't have the same inert effect as steering or accelerating. And then I'm not sure how the highest setting works. I'm gonna leave it alone, but that's sort of the base settings for controllers. It's not a huge thing. Mainly the two settings I'd fuck around with are dead zone and linearity. If you're feeling like the steering is a bit too linear and you want a bit more of a sharper turn, with the potential downside of having, wheel spin and all that sort of shit, then, use steering linearity, or lower it. Dead zone is only used if you have stick drift. I wouldn't use it in any other scenario. So that covers one part. That covers one of the 4 segments we want to talk about. I'm gonna move over to, what am I moving over to? Pro settings, right? Yeah. All right. See you there. So I'm gonna have some gameplay up, and I'm gonna talk about pro settings and the effect it can have in a car. Not necessarily the effect it can have in a car, but who you should go to for these settings, because I'm not the guy. I'm not that guy. So I have 3 people that I usually turn to for settings. That's Acore, Kingdom 12, and Militia Gaming Community. They all have their own unique tuning style. I personally mainly use Kingdom 12 tunes. Acore and Militia Gaming Community have their own tunes. They're very good. I just prefer Kingdoms. Alright, that's just how it is. Acore and Militia both have summit guides that post every week. Acore has the Crew 2 as well. I think they're all very helpful in their own different ways. But if you're going for purely tunes, I prefer Kingdom 12. That's just how it is. Yeah, I don't really think there's much else to this segment other than pro settings are super helpful. You need to find pro settings that you like, so you can either try one of these 3 YouTubers. They're all going to be in the description, obviously, or you can find someone else. I think it's SimG and a couple others. I haven't really looked into them, but there's a lot. So start there. Start with those 3, and then go from there. That's my 2 cents on that. Anyway, we're gonna move over to, what's the next one? Assists. Alright. So I sort of balked the last recording a bit. I recorded it in a different format thinking it would be better. It wasn't. So we're gonna sort of speed run through these. PvE is pretty normal. Event difficulty only affects summits. Most people put it on 1. I put it on 4. Guidance, it's just these settings. Racing line on full. Braking only sucks. Alright, it does not help with your braking. It sucks. It basically appears seconds before you need it to. You know, so either do racing line off or full. Auto steering, auto braking, obviously don't do that. Rewind, I usually have off because the usefulness just isn't there. Nitro, obviously have it on because it affects summits. Cockpit view, purely subjective. ABS, it will reduce your braking distance, but I don't know to what extent, and I don't know how easy it is to lock up the car. So I'll be doing testing on that and get back to you on that one. Traction control is it's a bit harder to sort of tell you which one's the best. If you like using your throttle a lot, use that. If you don't, use sport. Comfort, sorry. I use comfort. I think comfort makes the game feel really nice. You know, it's very subjective on that one. I haven't seen anyone use off. They're usually on sport or comfort. I use comfort. Comfort's good. ESP, don't use ESP. Or drift assist. Or counter steering assist. Those ones will just fuck with your handling and give you no real benefit in the long run. So, don't use none of that. Airplane handling assist I use because I suck with airplanes. Stun assist is with the Hoonigan stuff. Won't really help you. So if you don't really need it, then don't use it. And that's the rundown. It's like 2 minutes instead of the 4 minutes I was before. I'm going to go into recommended cars next. I'm going to try to speed that one up as well. We'll see how that goes. Alright, so final little thing is recommended vehicles. So I'm going to go through the categories, tell you the ones that I think are very good and that I've driven and I thought were very cool and that aren't meta, by the way. They're just not meta. So that would include the Ford Focus, that exclude the Ford Focus, RS3 and the RS2. Civic Type R 2016, very fun for a front wheel drive car. I like it a lot. If you want to kind of try a front wheel drive car, there's a lot in the street tier 1 class, but not a lot anywhere else. So your best bet is to try a couple of these front wheel drive cars. Not that there's a huge amount here other than these two. And then, yeah, sort of just like, that's it. That's all the front wheel drive cars basically. Yeah, Civic Type R, really fun car. This is the Eclipse Star Edition. I'm pretty sure you can only get in the Crew 2 currently. I could be wrong. Fun car. Just has not great top end. That's it. This was surprisingly good. It doesn't have a tune on it. But it other than a slight oversteer, it's relatively good. 308's good, but I'm pretty sure it's known already. Some of the muscle cars are quite good. I don't know about this, the Roadrunner, but anyway, RX3 supercharged, and that's all I really want to talk about on the street tier 1. Street tier 2, we'll go. Shelby GT500 is really fun, has really good handling, unexpected almost. F40, almost everyone knows is good. The AMG GT is slowly becoming one of my favorite street tier 2 cars. I think it's awesome. So it's pretty cheap, I think, and I really like it. And there's a tune on it, and it's awesome. The GT3 RS splatter, also very cool. I think you can get it in the Crew 2 also. So, but if you don't have the Crew 2, Liberty Walk GR Supra or Panamera Turbo S. Those two are tip top. They're awesome. They're sick. Drift has only like 3 cars. So Unicorn, the Evo 9, and the Hunatron that are worth sort of using. You can, like, those are, okay, the Unicorn's like crazy meta. Evo 9 I like because it has nice all-wheel drive capabilities. And Hunatron's is cool. And then the GR Supra is a GR Supra. It just looks cool. So, and it will give you a nice amount of control. I haven't tried the Evo 10 with a nice tune yet, so don't know what that's all about. I'm biased against the 935. Very, very cool car. Slant nose is what they used to call them, I think. Bolide, super meta. FXXK, also quite meta. I am very, very fond of the Forsberg GT3 GTR. Very cool car. No tune on it either, that's what makes it crazy. Like, this just doesn't have a tune and it performs well. Same, well, the C63 has a tune, but it also performs really well. It seems like it has really good top end, and I don't understand why. And the F-150 SVT Raptor is a personal favorite of mine. All very good cars. If you can, they can sort of compete with the Bolide in some sections in the Super Trofeo. Some sections, I'm not going to say all sections. This one is a Crew 2 exclusive currently. Very good car though. It's a little bit tail happy, but still very, very good of a car. What do we got? All the cars I'd recommend are like the Crew 2 exclusive currently, but 720S is actually very, very good, like very, very stable. I think it's pretty fantastical. And the Vision EQ Silver Arrow, also kind of fond. I'm very fond of it. It's probably one of my most driven hypercars. Purely just because it has crazy acceleration and just all that shit. So, very fond of it. Like it a lot. Yeah, there are other cars that are better, but in the hairpins, you can't beat an EV. Sort of just launch out of those. Alpha GP is sort of a weird one because they're all relatively competitive. So sort of choose any Alpha GP car and be okay. They all sort of top out around the 14 kilometer an hour area. So I wouldn't say worry about that. Rally, motocross, don't even worry about. There's like one bike that I have, so I don't really test that. Miata Rally Raid, sick car, sick fun car. I did not think I would enjoy this car nearly as much as I did, but it's a super cool car. Proto Buggy, also very good, very solid, very stable. I like the Touareg. Touareg is probably up there as far as usage, and the X-Class. Those are my like go-tos for Rally Raid currently. As for Rally, you can sort of get away with almost anything and sort of be semi-competitive. My favorites are the like Countryman and the Focus RS. Those two are really fun. The Focus RS has crazy top end, and the the Countryman has crazy grip around corners. It's awesome. But other than that, there's not really a whole lot. Like Monster Truck, you might as well because of how little cars there are, you might as well just go with a Silverado as its meta. There's monster trucks aren't common, so you don't even need to worry about it. But yeah, that's sort of where we're at. Anyway, I'm gonna get this all edited up, and hopefully without any issues, I will do this outro here. Actually, thanks for watching. I kind of want to keep making videos that are sort of interesting, but also I'm not a huge fan of doing like talking bits when I don't need to. It's something I gotta get used to. It's whatever. But for now, I will hopefully do another video soon. We'll see how we go. But thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you another day.